Hello everyone, I am the Chuckinator, and in today's video we'll be tackling the Sphinx Riddles in Dragons Dogma 2. These can be failed, and there's even a possibility of taking out the Sphinx at the end of everything to get some extra goodies. If you find the video helpful, then be sure to hit the like button, and if you want updates on when I post other guides or content, then subscribe to the channel. Your support is so appreciated. So to get to the Sphinx, you will have to travel northwest up the mountain through the ancient burial ground area, or directly Skyrim up the mountain from the marshes. Either way, you will reach the altar for the Sphinx, where you will be tested through multiple riddles. I do highly suggest saving a port crystal for this questline, as well as being sure to rest at an inn before starting, so you have a backup save. You can set a port crystal here just to pop back and forth. You will acquire a port crystal from the first riddle we cover, so don't worry too much about that. So let's get right into the Riddle of Madness.
Love is as twin to madness, they say. They are bound fast, as night is today. So bring forth your most beloved to me, that I might gauge the depth of your insanity.
Huh?
You may be a bit confused on what they mean with this riddle, as you will be with multiple riddles, but generally they want you to bring the NPC you have the highest or maxed out affinity or relationship with, which could be anyone you have been romancing or boosting up for specialization for your pawn. But generally your best and fastest choice will just be your own pawn. You pretty much just bring them up to the pedestal and then drop them off, and then you talk to them and hope that the pawn doesn't walk off the pedestal before you can finish it up. At this point, you will talk to the Sphinx and submit your answer to the riddle. She will then give you probably the creepiest face I've seen a Sphinx ever give me in a video game.
Well, well. Very good. Not half bad.
And then tell you if you're correct or not. After this, she will approve and allow you to open a chest. This chest should have a port crystal in it, which will be useful for completing the next riddle as well, depending on if you choose to use it. With the Riddle of Madness done, let's get on to the Riddle of Conviction.
Life is an enigma, a lender of mortal debt. Yet lighter pack makes fleeter foot, and challenge nimbly met. So grant to me what you most prize, and thence elude your ponderous demise.
For this riddle, the Sphinx is requesting you to give them your most precious or favorite item. But not to worry, as what they actually will be doing is duplicating it. So whatever item you choose will be returned to you, and an extra will come out of the chest. I highly suggest doing a port crystal, as they are limited in the amount you can acquire. And this is one of the few ways you can get another one. This riddle is not generally able to be failed, but you could miss out on the chance to duplicate something rare. Out of all the riddles, I will say this is probably the easiest one, as you just give them an item and then it completes it. But that's about everything you need to know about the Riddle of Conviction. With that, let's move on to the Riddle of Eyes.
Our eyes are our allies, yet oft do they betray, for eyes tell lies. So I advise, and thence do lead astray. Yet, how will your eyes advise you? Venture through yonder door, and retrieve that which is of greatest value.
The Riddle of Eyes can be a little tricky, as you actually have to be looking around to find what is requested. When you go into this small dungeon, you will face monsters through to the end, but what is in the chest at the end is not what you were hunting for. When you first come into this dungeon, if you look above the door, there will be a chest there. This chest holds the actual goal for this riddle. It will be a file called the Sealing File, which can hold a person in it. After acquiring this, just return to the Sphinx, and they will approve of your choice, allow you to keep the file, and also unlock the chest, which will have a wake stone in it. It's a pretty simple riddle if you find the chest right off the rip, but don't let that dungeon fool you. With the Riddle of Eyes finished, let's move on to the Riddle of Rumination. I hope you have a good memory for this one.
Is ever the first we keep fond in our breast, and ever the first that eclipses the rest. You know of the Seeker's tokens, I trust. Those keepsakes of a fondly remembered journey. Yet where was it that you found your first? Retrace your steps if you can. You might make a new discovery. 7 days, shall we say, ere you return? May your journey be a pleasant one.
This riddle can either be your greatest enemy or very simple. This directly depends on if you remember where you got your first secret token. If you don't, then you can use my other video showing all 240 locations to go through them to find out where your first one was, as now in place of that secret token will be a finder's token. Just keep in mind they are only giving you 7 days to go find it and return it to them, so be sure not to get too sidetracked in the process. After you've gone and collected this, you just have to return to the Sphinx and turn it in. At this point, you will get access to a new chest containing 3 fairy stones. After finishing the Riddle of Rumination, you will be on to the last riddle at this location, which is the Riddle of Wisdom.
Come to test your wits. The parent knows the child. I am a lost child, so bring to me my parent, that I might better learn.
I apologize firstly for not having the whole riddle, as I had to reload my save and kind of skip through it quickly. And I highly suggest getting an in save for this one, as it is the last riddle before the Sphinx moves, and if you mess up, you might miss it. But anyways, this one is weirdly specific. You must go to a Riftstone of Fellowship and find a pawn with some variation of Sphinx in the name. And be sure it is one whose master is Capcom, because you might get people trying to trick you out. The easiest to get to will be the one in Harp, as you can just fairy stone there and then walk over to the Riftstone. And after having a Sphinx Mother, Sphinx Father, Sphinx Parent pawn with you, just head back and place the pawn on the pedestal with you, and you will successfully finish the riddle and be able to open the chest. But I highly suggest skipping on the chest and coming and get it later, because otherwise you won't be able to do what I'm about to do here. So after finishing this riddle, the Sphinx will fly off to the next shrine location for you to do more riddles with her. If you want to easily get to the next Sphinx Shrine location, you can actually grab onto and ride the Sphinx like fucking Falcor in the Never-Ending Story. Cue flight music.
Tis good to be reunited.
dearly did you love our game that you have sought me out again. Let us resume at once. I too have grown rather engrossed.
So after enjoying your flight, you plop down and pretty much instantly complete the Riddle of Reunion, which is just reuniting with the Sphinx at this location. I would suggest placing another port crystal here so you can travel back easily, as it is helpful for the next riddles, and you can collect your chest of 100,000 gold for completing the riddle. At this point, the riddles will be coming in randomly, so it just depends on what order you get. That will determine what order you should watch these in. My first was the Riddle of Futility. In this riddle, the Sphinx is wanting you to take a piece of pottery and carry it all the way to a bistron residing in Backbatal. But instead of making that painfully arduous journey, there's a much easier way to do this riddle. It just requires you to go to Backbatal, grab the bistron in question, who should be hanging by a big stone mural of the Sphinx, and just using a fairy stone back to your shrine port crystal while carrying him. Once you arrive, just place him next to the pottery and you will have solved the riddle without ever having to touch the pottery. This riddle will give you access to a chest containing an eternal bond ring, which greatly increases your affinity with someone when you gift them the ring. And my next riddle ended up being the Riddle of Differentation.
So vast is this world and full of life. You are but one of many. Indeed. In the grand scheme, we are as distinct from one another as pebbles on a beach. Yet we do so love to extol our differences. But are these differences so great? I seek this man. If men are so distinct, I'm sure you'll find him in a trice.
For this riddle, you must find this exact NPC out of all the ones on the map. There are two very similar looking people. One has wavy hair, and the other has straight hair. They both will be within the rest town area, and whichever one you get, be sure to bring that specific one back to the Sphinx. The best way to know their location or any NPC's location is checking the NPC logbook under History in the pause menu. So check to be sure if you've met them before. Their pages look like this, and as you can see, the hair is noticeably different as well as the shape of the scars on their faces. So you will need to pay attention to which one the Sphinx shows you as to not bring the wrong one. As you can see, they showed me the wavy haired one, so I went looking for the one with the wavy hair. First I found the straight haired one on the north side of Rest Town Gate, and then I found the wavy haired one on the south side. I picked them up just like the pottery person, and used another fairy stone to bring them back to the Sphinx. Just be sure you bring whichever one she requests or you will fail this riddle. After you've gently placed your NPC on the altar, then you can talk to the Sphinx and she'll compare what she showed you to what you brought them. After they've confirmed that the two people are the same, then you have completed the riddle and be allowed to open another chest. This chest will hold the Whimsical Daydream, which is a trickster weapon. From this riddle, we're going to be moving on to my next riddle, which was the Riddle of Contest.
Though ours is a battle of wits, tests of mettle are more to your strength. Is that not so? Come, try your arm, though he shall be your opponent, not I. However, I am not one to be amused by a simple duel. Bear this ring into battle, that I might gauge your true strength.
So this riddle is actually relatively easy. Pretty much she has you equip this ring that makes it where you don't do any damage. But all you have to do is pick up the combatant and throw him off the ledge at the edge of the shrine. It's really simple, really easy, and you honestly could take less hits than I did, but you pretty much just walk over there and throw him over, and that's it. After this, she will commend you for completing the riddle, and she'll give you access to the next chest, which has the Ring of Ambition, which slightly boosts experience gained from defeating foes, so it's pretty nice. My next riddle was the Riddle of Recollection, and depending on when you get this riddle, because they're kind of random, will determine how it plays out.
Now, questions beget questions, and I have one for you. How many riddles have you solved thus far? My memory fails me, you see. Remind me, and make it plain. Let yonder statues be your means. For every question aptly answered, bring one here before me.
For this riddle, you just have to place in front of the Sphinx the same amount of statues as the amount of riddles you have correctly guessed. For me, that was 9, as this was my last riddle. I went and made sure that after I started it, that I went to an inn and rested. So if you are getting close to your last riddle, make sure to do that. Depending on when you get this riddle, you may not be putting 9 statues in. So resting is good for saving your spot, just in case you get it wrong. So once I returned, I placed my 9 statues and finished the riddle. After this, the Sphinx will unlock the last smaller chest containing the Unmaking Arrow. After the last riddle, the Sphinx will begin to leave, and you will have to attack her so you can get the key for the final chest. Before whichever of these riddles is last, be sure to go to an inn. Also be sure to grab the Unmaking Arrow if you have it, and switch to a bow using class, as you'll need to be able to shoot the arrow. And the arrow autosaves when you shoot it, so this is why you want to rest in an inn, so you have an inn save to go back to if you messed up. Once you're in combat, all you have to do is equip the arrow and shoot the Sphinx with it. Just be careful not to miss like I initially did. Then you'll get a little cutscene. The Sphinx will give you the key to the big chest, which contains an eternal wake stone, which can revive a whole morgue of people. If you found the video helpful, then please support the channel by leaving a like, and subscribe if you would like updates on when I post new guides or other content. I want to thank you for watching, and I appreciate all of you. I'll catch you next time.